Welcome back to the Sin and Twin podcast. It's your girl Sin, and I'm here with my twin.
Jay, aka Harbinard, without.
Today's guest, we've got.
I don't send you some curse.
Why don't you tell us a bit about your business? We have this thing, like I despise Jay.
I'm just here for comedic relief. I don't know why she's on.
This is me, guys. I want to rewind a little bit.
You are now listening to the Sin and Twin podcast.
Welcome back to the Sin and Twin podcast. It's your girl Sin, and I'm here with my twin.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Harbinard.
And we are here with the team of Holistic Oasis. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So individually, and I'm going to start from here, we have Andres, Santiago, Alyssa, Sal, and Tommy. We also have Amanda here. Welcome. So why don't you give us a quick briefing of what Holistic Oasis is, because I'm very excited to get into everything you guys have going on.
Got it. So Holistic Oasis, we're a startup dispensary out of Westchester, New York. We're based out of White Plains. And me and Santiago here, we co-founded it together. We're friends from high school. And so me, Santiago, Andres, we founded it back in 2021 when New York went legal. So, you know, we've been at it since, and we were able to have our friend Sal come on the team with his wife Alyssa. We're also friends from high school, and essentially they were out in Seattle and they're coming back to New York, and we offered them a position in the company. But that's how we banded together. And
Nice.
Yeah, we've just been at it since.
Okay. And what exactly is Holistic Oasis?
So we're a dispensary, trying to be a dispensary.
Sure.
And we're applying for the application, and hopefully we'll get our license soon. So, yeah, we're here to educate the new market. Our stance in the cannabis industry is education. We want to essentially bring the market together and give them products that are good quality, backed by great farms.
One of our main focuses that we're really trying to achieve with our dispensary is to just have an education-focused shop where customers can walk in and feel comfortable with the products that they're buying from people that are knowledgeable in the industry and can explain the whys and the hows of how products work, so they can fine-tune things that are right for that person. Me and Alyssa came from Seattle. We're from New York. We had moved out there for a couple years, got some industry experience. We both worked in shops. So we really, when we came back, we wanted to incorporate that experience, into the company and just kind of push things forward here in New York. It's a really exciting time. There's so many things moving with cannabis right now in New York, and
Absolutely.
yeah, so we want to be a huge part of the next push in cannabis, the next saga in this plant, and we're just education focused, and we're looking to open up a store. Right now is the application window, which closes up in December. So we're currently getting our application through right now, and then looking to open sometime next year.
That's great. And what I love about everything you guys just said is that you want to educate people. Mm-hmm. That is not, there's plenty of places opening up right now, but they're just trying to make a profit. They're just trying to sell some stuff and, have neon lights in the window and all that good stuff. But you guys are actually wanting to, educate people on what it is that they're buying and, things like that. So that's really interesting to me, because that's a different perspective you don't get a lot around here, especially, right?
Exactly.
Sin needs a lot of education.
I need all the education.
Well,
what do you have to make me less lazy, guys?
Now, it's a lot to learn. It's a legal market.
Right.
There's tests. There's everything going on to back cannabis up and, get this out to people that need it. At the end of the day, it's plant medicine. Mm-hmm. We can't call it medicine because we're recreational, but it helps.
Yeah.
And, as people that use it, we see the benefits of it. And I think being that this is a new market, there's a huge potential that this could reach people that are actually in need of it, that could possibly get off prescription medications and go more of a holistic approach to what they need.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know, right?
Yeah, they don't know, and there's a lot of
misinformation
misinformation out there, which is why we take the stance to educate. Mm-hmm. It's big. Just like you said, there's not a lot of people that want to educate the market. They're just in it for the quick buck. That's why you see a lot of these gray black market shops popping up already. You know, they're not going about it the right way, getting the license, doing the prep work, doing all the work that it takes to get a license, a legal New York dispensary.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, so I mean, we all here have some knowledge in the industry somehow, some way, and us coming together to bring this to New York, I think I know it's gonna make an impact. You know, we're paving the way, essentially.
Well, like you said, it's such a hot time right now,
Yeah,
too, right?
it's a hot
Like, you
time.
jumped into it at the perfect time when it became legal, obviously. But now there's definitely a shift in what people are thinking about cannabis and, you know, the uses of it and everything like that. So
Yep.
I definitely feel like now's definitely your time for sure, you know? And it's just like to be able to really dive into the different uses and getting people off of these dangerous prescription drugs that people are prescribed left and right, you know? Like that's a game changer in my opinion. I mean, I know that's not what you use it for, but Jay's like, nah, I got anxiety, bro, I swear.
I don't go to the doctor. I just smoke pot.
There you go.
There you go.
There's a lot of taboo about it.
I feel like the older generation, especially because it was so criminalized for such a long time, you know, that like even now they still are like, what are you doing? You're smoking, you know, on the sidewalk. And I'm like, yo, Gramps, this is the deal now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's funny about that is the stigma, right? And then one of the things that, I mean, you guys can back me up on this, but one of the things that we see in the market is that the people that are coming are either in their 50s or late 40s and up, and then the younger generation is not people in their 30s and their early 40s are not coming because of what you just said, right?
Yep.
Is that stigma that it was put in place. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we want to change because cannabis has helped all of us individually in different ways.
For sure.
Like, I know my brother's been smoking for a while, and the reason I found out he smoked was because when I smoked for the first time, I'm like, why does this smell is so familiar? And then I got home and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a pothead. But little did I know, right, like what was he using it for? And for me specifically, when I was in the Army, the only way for me to do or to cope was to drink. And coming back to New York, and New York is really expensive. I was in the South.
Yeah.
So like
Oh,
I could
big
spend
difference.
like $100 and I could get wasted. In New York, I spend $100 and I'm just barely tipsy.
Right.
So
you
it's
just got buzz on.
it's a difference. But then I really started looking. I'm like, you know what? I really want to go back to smoke because I used to smoke as a teenager. Let me learn about it, and I dove in, and I learned about how it actually interacts with your systems, with your body inside the receptors, and then once it became legal, and then me and Tom were like, okay, we're doing this. I was like, well, who's the biggest pothead I know that can help us with this? My brother.
Oh, so you guys are brothers?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Most of our life.
So, and that's kind of how we started, and we were like, okay, but we want to do this differently. We really want to do this differently. We really want to help people out, and like Sal was saying, let's help them choose the things that work for them. It's like some people like to drink beer, some people like to drink wine, and sometimes when they go out of those realms, they get messed up. It's the same thing with cannabis, you know? So it's trying to teach people that, bring it over, and be like, hey, like, you might have had a bad experience with this strain. Maybe let's smoke a little bit less, or maybe let's try this. How did you feel? And it's weird because my background, I'm a mental health counselor, so I'm a therapist. So for me, my innate response is to investigate, analyze. And it allows me to help people kind of be like, oh, you feel this way. Okay, let's guide it towards this way. And the knowledge that I have with the plant allows me to help them choose, let's say, a strain within the variety and the spectrum, right? Because it's a spectrum. You get highs that are really tiring and help you sleep. You get highs that are very energetic, and for some people, it's anxiety-inducing, right? So it's being able to kind of navigate that with the customer and using the background that I have to kind of guide them.
Okay, cool. So you can totally tell me what is right for me because I haven't been able to touch this stuff because it's like, who knows even, you know, what strains are where. Like, again, I'm the one that needs the education. So that's been my experience so far. It's like, no, I'm already I wouldn't consider myself a paranoid person, but I'm hyper aware. And once you add that into the mix, now it's paranoia. And, you know, another time.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I'm very passionate about CBD and THC ratios. So I worked in a shop in Seattle for about 2 years. And it was one of the best places to work because I just was surrounded by a lot of people that had a ton of knowledge. And that's one thing with this industry is a lot of people are very welcoming and they're always willing to share knowledge. Like people want you to know what worked for them. If you find a product or a strain or something that you really enjoyed, you want to tell people and you want to share that.
Right.
And so I had a great opportunity. I worked with some people that were really good about sharing that information. What I learned that helped me a lot is CBD THC ratio blends. So if you're not big on having something that's overstimulating, I would say find something with a good amount of CBD. There's a lot of misconceptions about CBD because right now we generally see hemp-based CBD on the market, which is what you'll see in grocery stores. You can kind of buy those products anywhere because they're hemp-derived. So they have, is it less than 0.03% THC, so the very minimal THC, which is why it's allowed to be sold. Now, cannabis-based CBD and THC, they have higher percentages. So you might find something that's a CBD ratio that's equal with THC, or maybe something that's a little bit more THC. So we would call them like a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1. So one of my favorite strains, I think, is 8% CBD, 8% THC. There's a lot of misconceptions that they cancel each other. But they actually work very well together. They work synergistically. So that's what I always recommend for people that want to have a little bit of a high, but not too intense.
Interesting.
I also recommend it if people are looking for relief in some way or having trouble sleeping. There's a lot of ideas that CBD will really help you sleep. To me, that's not my experience. I do take a lot of CBD products. I first started using cannabis for pain management. And I found that a lot of prescription drugs weren't really helping with what I needed. And that's when I started using cannabis. And I realized there's a lot of information that I just don't have yet, which is why I really wanted to start working in the industry to begin with, is to find those answers. And so for me, I do like just THC sometimes, but I also like a good balance of CBD and THC.
Right.
And that's what helps me the most, whether it's sleeping, because it also has the THC in there, that's going to help you sleep as well, more than just CBD. So typically, if someone says that they've tried CBD and it's not working for them, I'll ask if there was THC involved in that. I think that the two of them combined is probably the most beneficial. If you are looking for just THC products, I would recommend low dosage edibles if you don't want to smoke flower. Just something maybe 2 milligrams of THC. Start low and don't have any more until you feel comfortable, because sometimes they take a while to work. There's also a lot of THC beverages on the market now. Those are good because you can dose them. So if you want just a little bit, you can have just a little bit. They tend to work a little quicker than traditional edibles that you're going to swallow. And so I feel like that kind of gives you a good way of deciding, is this enough? Should I slow down? And then you can go from there and find what dosage what serving size is best for you.
I am so locked all the way in right now. Like, that is so interesting. And like this is why I'm so glad we're having these conversations, right? Because no one knows that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, no, I just need to take the edge off. Let me just go smoke something. And then like, nobody knows that there's all this science to, well, I'm saying nobody knows, but generally people don't know that there's so much science to it to find what works for you. And like, going back to the alcohol thing, right? I mean, this is a conversation we've had many, many times, because Jay is sober from alcohol for 10 years now. About to make 10 years. And we talk all the time about how harmful it is, yet it's legal, it's socially acceptable, if anything, socially encouraged. And then it's like, you actually have this substance right here that could be helpful in so many different ways and is a better way to take the edge off in comparison to alcohol, in my opinion. I mean, I drink and I wish I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, if I could get this down right, then I could make a switch to something that's better for me and less dangerous in the long run. That's just interesting to me.
To that point, and to what Elisa was saying, is what we learned that a lot of people don't know. And me being the oldest in the group, I've been smoking since I was 15, 16, so that makes it good 18, 20 years. And before we just smoked to get high, I started because of the normal things everybody starts smoking for, high school, the party, and a little bit of that is slowing it to the drinking part, and then still being able to get high and messed up, but not with alcohol that much. But we didn't know the whole chemistry and the whole thing behind it. And now these days that we have, before we only had pot, that was it.
Right.
Now is all these flavors and strains, and to me that was annoying. I'm like, dude, it's either weed or what you're selling me.
Right.
But then when we started looking at it, since legalization was passed in New York, we started learning about it, and what she was saying, the whole entourage effect is what we call, is all the chemicals in the plant interacting together to give you that experience. So since you open the package, is the aroma, right? All those trichomes hitting you, the visual, right? All the crystals in the plant, and that together gives you that flavor profile as well. And then the combination of THC and CBD and CBG, that will make you feel a certain kind of way. You can have one without the other one, right? It's like you want to have coffee, but then you don't have water. What do you do? But if you mix it with milk, you're going to have a different effect, and you'll probably have a stomach problem, which don't happen with water. Some people do. So as an example,
absolutely,
all these chemicals interact together and give you just that much better experience. So you can actually walk a customer, just like you, looking for something to help you, but don't want to smoke because you already had a bad experience. Walk you through finding a nice balance in between those components and a nice way which is familiar to you. It could be a chocolate, it could be a mint, a beverage, something different. So we're very excited to bring this into a retail market in a nice setting that you feel comfortable walking in and asking the questions and knowing that they're going to answer the best we can. And you're not in the back alley. I used to buy in the Bronx in places that I will not go there today. But it's what we used to do.
Right. That's how you had to get it.
Exactly. And the guy don't care. The follow-up is now, you're mixing now customer service. You're helping them in a holistic way. Therefore, the whole Oasis thing, because it's a secluded place when you're gonna feel different from everywhere else. And the holistic approach, stay off from chemicals, really.
Right. And
be more natural.
It's funny that you say that too, because like me, again, I know I'm the lame one in the group, but me walking into one of these smoke shops, I'm like, I don't know what to ask for. I don't know. I don't want to look stupid, you know what I mean? Like, and just like me, also like my personality type, right? I've got a pride thing. So like, I'll just walk in and be like, yeah, just, give me the good stuff. And it's like,
Give me the best shit you got.
on my ass in 20 minutes. But, to have a safe space where somebody can feel comfortable asking those questions and get like genuine, responses from people that care, about what they're doing. I mean, I think that's incredible. Absolutely.
I think for me, it's really important when anyone walks in the shop, whether there's someone who is older that used to buy off the street and they want to get more information, or they haven't used in a long time, or someone who's a beginner, anyone from any experience level can come in and feel safe asking those questions and feel safe saying, I have trouble with sleeping. What can help me with that? Right. Or, what, I just want to get home and relax after a long day and find something to relax. There are certain strains that I compare them to a wine because they're happy and they're relaxing, and it's just something nice for after work. Or if you want something in the morning that's motivating, if you're active and you want to go out and take a walk, there's something for everyone of every lifestyle. And getting familiar with yourself and what you want for your experience, and then for us to be able to say what kind of experience are you looking for and find a product to help whatever it is that you need. again, regardless of experience level, we want everyone to feel comfortable being able to ask those questions.
Right. So it's like consultative too. Like it's like actual genuine guidance on that. That's so incredible.
And the best thing is when someone can come in and give feedback and say, you know what, this product really helped me. Thank you so much for your recommendation. I'm also looking for this. Or I have this product and you know what, maybe it didn't work for me, but maybe we can find a different product. And for each person, it's different. It's trial and error. So if something doesn't work for you, we want to hear that too. And we want to hear, okay, maybe that product didn't work, but let us find something that will help whatever it is that you need.
That is awesome. So what I need is something to make me be able to tolerate my children a little bit more, but also make me functional enough to take care of them. We'll talk.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
we need something for sure.
She told you CBD THC.
But you know, one of the good things about us having this conversation too is that the knowledge that we've been able to learn right throughout this whole experience. As we said, we started literally the day of legalization. Me and him got on the phone and we're like, all right, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We talked about it before, though. It wasn't. Yeah,
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
something that's just like.
Like once we found
yeah.
out that it was gonna
It's like
become
something
legal.
that you guys wanted
Yeah,
to
we
do,
were-
and you guys
we were
finally
definitely thinking
got
about-
that green light.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We were following
And it
you guys'
was-
progress. We knew they were gonna pop soon.
And it was
Yeah.
funny because I remember that day I called him and I ran outside and I just lit up a joint outside just because I could.
Yeah.
Not because any other reason.
Yep.
But going back to the knowledge is that I was telling him actually, like on our last meeting, that once we started incorporating knowledge into the way that we see the plant and the way that we smoke, it changed the entire way that I smoke cannabis now. So for example, Elisa was mentioning there is some strains that are good for relaxing after work and some that are creative. Right? I work out every day, right? I work on Monday through Friday. I go to the gym early in the morning and I wake up and some days I smoke and some days I don't. But the days that I do smoke, I have a specific strain for that. So like when I buy, for example, when I go buy, I usually buy like, okay, I'm going to buy one for the morning and I want to buy one for the night. So now I'm buying more, but with a purpose. So
Right.
smoking becomes a smoking with purpose. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to smoke to be high. It's like, okay, I'm going to smoke because I need to be a little bit more energetic than I am right now. And it's funny because I'm Colombian. I don't really love coffee that much. So my
Jay just
coffee-
looked at me because my husband's Colombian.
Oh,
So,
yeah?
and my kids obviously are half. Go ahead.
Nice. But right, like I'm supposed to like coffee, but I like it, but it's not my to go. So
Yeah.
in the morning, I wake up and I have like something that is bussy, right? Like some New York sour diesel, right? Like that's bussy, and for some people that may cause anxiety, but for me, that'll wake me up, go to the gym, and I have one of the best workouts. So now with the like we were saying, like with the knowledge included into it, it changes the way that you smoke. It changes the way that you see the products that you're trying to choose. And also like diving really into it, there's terpenes, there's all of these things that together interact as the entourage effect to cause the high. So is learning that on edible, right? Most edibles, they say like, oh, like it's gonna be energetic or it's gonna be like very sedative. The reality is if there's no terpenes, there's no guidance. So you just get high. That's why sometimes with edibles, you just float. Sometimes you get too high that it causes anxiety, even though you're not an anxious person. That has happened to me. And I'm a therapist. I'm really not anxious.
Right.
But it has happened to me twice where I was just like bugging out.
It's overstimulating.
So
Yeah.
and there's nothing to guide it because there's no terpenes. So you're not gonna get a high that is gonna be calm and relaxing. You're not gonna get a high that's gonna be energetic. You're just high. Period.
Interesting.
I like to think of terpenes and cannabinoids as think of if you're in a car, the THC cannabinoids are the gas to propel you forward, and terpenes are the steering wheel. So you get to decide where you're going to take that.
Interesting.
And if you just have THC and you don't have terpenes, you're just driving straight. There's nothing there.
Right.
You're just going. So you
Which
don't
I'm
get to.
sure some people like look for that. Some people
yeah.
probably do just want to get high, but
those are good
the
for-
others.
Those are good for pain. Those are good for pain. Those are good for sleep because there's no guidance. So the stimulation is just you're high. So like on an edible, right? We were talking earlier that you said that you just pass out, right? And I think that's most edibles towards the end. like the come down of the edible, which I think the come down is kind of like the underdog. A lot of people like the come up and getting high, but a lot of people don't really analyze the come down. And in the come down, there's a lot of high in it left. And I enjoy it. So when the come down of actual edibles, you're tired, you're fatigued, because your body had to process all of that. So think about it. It went all the way to your stomach. It had to be processed through your liver. Then it has to be sent through your blood all the way to your brain. It acted, and then it has to get taken out. While when you smoke, it's literally lungs, brain, you're high.
So do you guys know that THC changes when you digest it to hydroxy 11? Yep. 11 hydroxy THC. So there's actually a chemical switch, which is why when you ingest it, oftentimes it's a much more potent high, and it's a different high than what's inhaling it.
It's more psychoactive.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. So it's just interesting, the science behind it. When you digest it, there's a molecular change.
Right.
Yep,
And it's
for
funny
sure.
because people feel it more in their body. I mean, I don't know, this is me, but like usually when I take an edible, I first feel it on my body, and then I feel it in my mind. Like I feel my body getting really heavy first, and I'm just like, oh, this is hitting. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh yeah, this is hitting.
Do you guys know, yeah. Do you guys know what terpenes are at all? No,
I-
terpenes.
Yeah, I mean, like I have. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like
So-
I have an idea. I couldn't tell you like the.
So I think all plants have terpenes, and essentially it's their aroma profile. So, for example, the smell of lavender, that terpene in lavender is linalool, and so cannabis has these terpenes. They share these same terpenes that these other plants do. So, for example, black pepper is high in beta-caryophyllene, and that's what gives it its peppery taste. And so when you smoke cannabis that is also high in beta-caryophyllene, you'll have a peppery taste in the cannabis. And that just relates to the terpene being the same terpene in that other plant. Same thing with pinene. Pinene is in pine cones, pine trees. It gives it that piney scent. So pinene is also in cannabis. So you might encounter cannabis that has high in pinene. And those terpenes could cause these effects. So linalool might cause a more sedative effect. It's associated with lavender. Lavender is more calming. And then things like limonene is in citrus. And those might be a more energetic, uplifting effect. So it's cool, once you dive into
really
it.
interesting.
There's a lot to
interesting.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just, not like Santi was saying that, it's a market where we can learn and educate ourselves now, before we were just copping off the street.
Right.
Whoever got what, I got that.
Yeah,
Who knows what that
word of
is?
I got
mouth.
that
Like,
piff.
yo.
Yeah, I got
Remember
that
piff?
We just
Yeah,
smoked
we
some
actually-
piff.
I actually got some
actual
piff.
piff.
Yeah.
I actually got some piff from my
Yeah.
dispensary. So this, one of the things that he was saying, right? So he went to cop at this new grower showcase, and I looked at the menu afterwards, and he came back with this what was it, citral glue?
Citral glue.
Which we've had before from Massachusetts, and I was like, bro, you didn't see that I have piff? And he's like, I don't even know what piff is. I'm like, you'll see. The next day I went and bought it.
Yeah.
When you open piff, it sends you right back to the early 2000s because that was what was predominant here in New York. So as soon as he opened it, like his eyes just went wide open. He's like, "Oh my god!"
You know that
And I'm
smell.
like, "This is what you used to smoke when you were just smoking."
Right.
Great.
But yeah,
Yeah.
That's
So, got
incredibly
all these crazy
interesting.
hybrids, and it's hard to find those strains that were the land races, I believe what they call it, right? Land races.
Yeah, that's going to be, so a landrace strain
Yeah.
is something that's native to a certain area. Durban poison, for
Right.
example, is one of the very popular ones. It's from a specific location in Africa. And now, of course, we have strains that are bred with other things. So you might find that still a lot in crosses. And sometimes you find just regular Durban poison.
like the triangle poisons, right? That you just got recently.
Yeah, I
Wow.
just recently got a triangle poison. And like as soon as I smell it, you can smell that little bit of Durban poison in there, along with other fragrances that show you, it's part of its genetics, which is really cool when you start to learn about the different strain names and you can actually smell it as soon as you open the package and you can smell it. And it kind of varies depending on what area you're in. Certain areas will, like we're in New York, we do have a lot of diesel strains where on the West Coast you tend to see a lot of Kush strains or kind of more on the relaxing side. A lot of berries. So every area kind of has its own strains that it's well known for. So I guess Piff is one of those kind of well known ones, and when you smell it, it has like a nostalgic feel to it.
Right, right. So I'd imagine that you two being in Seattle for the amount of time that you were over there, I mean, they've been legal way longer, right?
I believe 2015.
2015. So I could imagine that was, hugely a factor in like how much you know now and everything like that, right?
It was really exciting moving there, and it felt like a snapshot into the future in a way, like where the industry as a whole is headed, and then coming back, it was almost like taking a step back from how far things are in the culture of cannabis in the West Coast, coming back where things are still, a little bit more reserved, and there's still that taboo feel where in the West Coast it's just, for the most part, so out in the open that people really don't think twice of it. So coming back here and having the opportunity to be part of the start of the legal industry in New York is huge. It was a big reason why we moved back. We're from here and we wanted to come back and be a part of the start of the industry here. And it's living in Seattle and it was a wonderful opportunity to try so many different strains. Like we had a drawer in our apartment of probably 100 strains, and I would go to them all the time and smell them and like really compare and contrast. And if I had one strain that was a cross of two other strains that I also had, it's fun to just go and smell it and you can really tell, okay, this really is a cross of those two other strains. You can get the aromas and the sense of each of them. So it's fun taking that and then smoking it and feeling the way that you're going to feel off of that product. Like if you have something like Tom was saying before about it being high in limonene, all of a sudden now you're having more of an energetic, uplifting feel. Now next time you smell something in that profile, that's the kind of high you're going to get from it.
That's the way
so
it'll
getting
make you feel.
right,
That's
getting to a
fucking
point
awesome.
where in your
So
consumption
dope.
where you can look at flower and you can smell it and know before you try it exactly the kind of feeling you're going to get from it.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that the industry has lacked, and obviously the underground market is, what are they selling me, and what's it gonna do to me, right? So now with this little bit of knowledge of oh, listen, I'm smelling a little lemon. Oh, this is gonna get me cleaning up the house and more.
Yep.
Gives you that just upper edge for you to make an informed decision on what you're gonna consume.
But
That's
remember
awesome.
those strains that are a little bit on the gassy side, right? Like, how everybody's like, oh, let me get the gas. So things that smell like that, the limonene, right? Things that smell citrusy, for people that have anxiety and paranoia, that are already high uplifted people, those strains could potentially cause anxiety, right? It has this effect, and it has it for me, and I know that me and Alice had discussed it before, that it has this buzziness effect on your ears that it literally, you need to move. You need to do something. And if you're not used to that, like that causes anxiety, like there's this one that is called, they call it MAC, right? But it's Miracle Alien Cookies. And there's so many different versions of MAC because so many different people grow it, and the growing techniques causes the different, percentages and how strong it is. And there was one time that we got it. We didn't know if it was real MAC or not. We tried it, and then my wife Amanda got super anxious, and she already has anxiety, but it's not like that. And then this strain just got her, and I was like, the Mac got you. And then 5 minutes later, I feel my heart racing, and I'm just like,
God.
the Mac got me. But
You got him back.
yeah, and it's good to know that, right? There's another strain called grapefruit, and a lot of people run from it. I love it, but I love it because it allows me to feel something that I naturally don't feel. So as a therapist, a lot of the time I try these strains because it allows me to put myself in an anxious person's shoes and be like, oh wow, like I don't feel this on the normal basis,
Which would help you in your
and it
field
helps
of
me in
work.
my field, right?
That's interesting.
So I find ways on how to use one with the other and how it affects me and how it could potentially affect other people. And again, we're all different, right? So there's this effect, I forget what it's called, but there's an effect where like you get affected differently by the terpenes. So like you might get the opposite effect. So there's some people that might smell like something gassy or something citrusy, and for everybody else or the majority of people is going to be energetic, but for that one specific person it's going to be the complete opposite. So that's why it's very important to learn about the terpenes and how your body actually reacts to them when you smell them originally, because it starts at the olfactory system, right? That's how we interact with this plant, and that's how you know exactly if what type of high is gonna do to you specifically.
Right.
And it's weird because it's like the way that they describe it is like you really gotta smell it, and it's like a tingling sensation from the tip of your nose to the top of your eyebrows. And right there, wherever it falls, you can tell how it's going to affect your body specifically. So there's some strains at the higher level of your eyebrows, that's gonna be really energetic. Towards the bottom of the nose is gonna be a lot more sedative, a lot more relaxing.
What?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's blowing my freaking mind right now.
You have to inhale it. You have to smell the weed pretty hard, though. You
Like,
know?
Yeah.
You take a nice deep breath. You hold it.
And let it
You
kind of
let it
like sit there.
Yeah.
You start feeling the tingling, and you're like, oh.
They call it
oh.
interpening.
And then
Interpening.
it concentrates somewhere in there, and then you feel it. If it's more towards the tip of your nose, you know that's gonna punch in the nose.
Yeah.
If it's more up here, it's gonna be more creative, uplifting, more active, more energetic.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I was like that too. It wasn't like that in my
I'm
days.
like, this is like
Think about
blowing
it
my
like
mind
wine,
right now.
right? Like Alyssa was saying,
Right.
think about it like wine is.
Yeah.
You know, you have people that are wine connoisseurs, right? They go in, they smell the wine, they know where the grapes, they know all of this stuff, right? I hate wine. Sorry.
Step on.
But because
I
of
love
that,
it personally, but I wish I didn't.
and because of that, though, I worked at this place that they teach you about wine, and I learned a lot about that. And then now being able to use those skills that I was taught by actual connoisseurs and being able to introduce them into cannabis and help out, I'm like, wow. Like, you really do learn things throughout your life, and where kind of the universe puts you where you need to be. And it's really cool.
100%. That is really cool.
It's awesome. A lot of interesting information.
I know, right? You guys need to write a book. Like the business, great start. Let's write a book. Let's really get this going. So I think it's pretty impressive that you guys have known each other for so long, since high school, and you're all equally as passionate about this and as educated on this. Like, that's a rare finding for sure, that you have such a solid team of people who are, you know, like, it doesn't seem to me at all that any of you are just like along for the ride or here for just the business only. Like, each and every one of you seem as equally invested in educating people on this and knowing your stuff when it comes to it. So I just really wanted to commend you guys on that, because that's pretty incredible, and it's actually really rare for businesses to have that many people, you know, all on the same page. Exactly.
And you guys are very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable.
I mean, it's like you were saying, right? Like, you sometimes start the interviews in the parking lot. Like, when
Yeah.
you're passionate about something, it doesn't matter where it is. You're just going to talk about it.
It flows
Right.
into it.
It really
Yeah.
does. It just kind of goes into it. And that's kind of our passion. I mean, cannabis is not really what brought us together, because we were friends before it. But finding out that, like, he found out, like, oh, you smoke? I smoke. I was like, oh, shit. And going back to the culture, you were mentioning that, like, I think it's funny how it is socially encouraged to drink, right? And it's so socially encouraged that when you go and tell your friends, like, hey, man, I'm not drinking anymore, they're like, oh, what do you mean, man? Let's go out for a drink. What's wrong with you?
I always say that.
But then when it comes to the cannabis culture, you're like, you're going to pass the joint out of respect, right? And the person's like, oh, no, I'm good. You're like, oh, my bad. And then you
And
just
that's
keep
it.
going, and that's
What
it.
a great point.
Yeah.
That's so true. Because
It's
I
in
do know
culture.
that, because he's dealt with that for almost 10
Yeah,
years
I
now.
always say, if I went and told somebody I quit doing coke, they'd be like, "That's great. You shouldn't do that." But if I tell them I quit drinking, but at the end of the day, it's poison.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, alcohol is poison.
And a lot of people have told you too, like, oh, well, you know, you can take a break
Yeah.
and then pick it back
Yeah, you
up
can
or
have
whatever.
one
He's like,
drink.
no, I quit for a reason,
What I
guys.
say, it's like I like to say to people, right? You have to learn what you're putting in your body, whatever it is, so you can make informed decisions.
100%.
It is an informed decision that you're drinking alcohol. You know what it does to your system. A lot of people choose to ignore it, and they like it, and that's fine. But if you're going to treat alcohol that way, then you should also give cannabis also a try and be like, okay, inform yourself. And then if it's still not for you, that's all good. That's not a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to bring a different perspective to this too. I have kids, and people all the time ask me, you know, my daughter's 13 now, so people all the time ask me, you know, do you think she smokes? Or like, because that's where we're at right now, where she's 13 and people immediately
Oh,
are
no,
like,
I
oh, is she
know.
smoking now? And I'm like, what the hell? When did that happen?
The nicotine and the vapes are really bad in the schools, and I'm telling you,
Yeah,
because I
they
see
are.
a lot of kids, and all of these kids are smoking. I'm just like, guys,
It's
what are you
insane.
doing?
It's
so I
insane.
try to really like teach them, and then I don't know, it's kind of scary how much they're like smoking vapes.
It is. It's terrifying.
And nicotine though, like it's nicotine. Like nicotine is everywhere. And I'm not saying nicotine is bad because again, it's about information.
Right.
Nicotine is bad is because of the chemicals that they're putting into it. But when you go and look at the history of the actual tobacco plant and the way that it's used, everything has its place. But these nicotine vapes, like I try to really teach kids. The thing is like we don't know what the long-term effects of these are. Some people are coming up with some crazy lung diseases that we
Oh, for
haven't
sure.
seen before. And then look at the popcorn lung. So it's like, well, yeah, you're starting when you're like 12, 13 because you're putting these like berry flavor things.
Right, and
Or,
then
like,
all the flavors
margarita.
totally
Target.
catered, to,
And the
to younger
smells.
kids. Yeah, so when people ask me, do you think she smoked yet? Do you think she's tried for the first time? Or it's usually followed up with like, oh, how would you react? And it's like, I don't know. Do you guys remember how old you were the first time you had a sip of alcohol?
Yes.
I was gonna say,
I was very young.
Very young, right?
Very young.
And like us as Latinos, it's even more common where it's
Yeah.
like you're 12 and, an uncle's going to slide you a beer or something like
Right.
that, right? It's so common. Me personally as a parent, and some people find this controversial, but I would prefer if she smoked weed over drinking. You know what I mean? Like, and I tell people that and they're like looking at me like I have 5 heads. And I'm like, no, I understand the crazy addiction that comes with alcohol and the dangers that come with that. I would prefer that if she was going to touch anything. But again, I want her to be educated.
Right.
And Jay, I actually had him have the conversation with my daughter. And I actually had him, have a long talk with her about weed and about, just drugs in general, right? I wasn't there for the conversation. I was like, I'm gonna let you do this. Clearly, I don't know anything. I think you need to just talk to her about it. She knows that he does it. She knows that her father does it. We don't hide that,
Right.
or keep it a secret or make it this like taboo thing in our family. So, I did ask him to handle that with her.
Nice.
And which he did beautifully. And she's, not as educated as I feel right now. But my whole point is that this gives me hope. Because, as my kids get older, I would want them to learn these things and to get better education on it. And, with all these issues with fentanyl and everything right now, there needs to be safe spaces to do this the right way, So I'm just so excited, and this
And
makes
have
me so
people
happy.
that you trust to get your
100%.
One of the
100%.
things that for me that is important, for example, like our mom, she was very open. Like any questions that we had, she answered. And one of the things that created in the house was an environment of safety, where if I had a question, I could ask my mom. And the first time I had alcohol wasn't with her, because I was afraid of just it's alcohol. Like I want to try it on my own. Like it's my mom. Why would I tell her that?
Right.
But later on in life, when I first tried wine, I asked her. She was drinking wine. I'm like, "Oh, mom, can I try some?" And she was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I mean, you drink it, like." And she was like, "Okay." She gave me one sip, and I was like, "This is disgusting. What is this?" But then she explained it to me, and one of the things that she always said, "I'd rather you come to me and you can try it in the safety of your house, where you can just, feel comfortable that you're doing it in the streets, that you know what's gonna happen or who's gonna give it to you and what's gonna be in there." So it creates that safety environment, that knowledge, and taking that stigma out of it.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is fantastic, because
Thank you.
you're not promoting it,
Right.
but at the same time, you're like, if you have a question and you decide to do it, you have your uncle to ask, and if you really, really want to, at least you can come and ask us questions, and we're gonna somewhat guide you. Not say we're gonna give it to you, but
Right.
at least you understand where we're coming from.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, it's education and being open of having those conversations, whether it's you as a parent or somebody within the close circle
Yeah.
that can have these open conversations, because this is a lot to talk about. Like the subject is extensive.
Oh, for sure.
And it's better for them to learn from home, from the basic stuff, including consumption. So as you mentioned, for us was that safe haven of conversation to consumption. The door was always open. So for us, it was not novelty to it. other than what's going to happen
And that
to
makes
me.
a difference,
Not
right?
the taboo part. Yes, it does make
that
a
makes
big
a big difference
Yes.
because once it becomes one of those things that like it's mysterious and there's not all that wonder around it. There's not so much like desperation to get away with it or anything like that, right?
Yes.
And I fully anticipate that the day my kids, if they choose to do it, it'll be with him and it'll be with their father. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
that's
I
the
wouldn't
thing. You
have
don't want
another.
them learning from another 14,
Exactly.
15-year-old.
Exactly. For sure. It's bound to happen. And, we just have to be realistic about it. And I think a lot of parents aren't,
Yes.
right? A lot of parents are just like, nope, don't do this. Don't go near it. Don't let me find out. Don't ask me about it. Like, it's just, like we've said a million times, taboo, but it's like we're realistic about it, I always said that my mother instilled a very healthy amount of friendship and fear in me, right? There was enough fear for me to not go buck wild, even though he did it for both of us. But there was also enough friendship for us to, be honest with her.
Right.
And, like you said, talk to her about it, whatever. And it didn't always feel like something we couldn't discuss, So I just want to reiterate that you guys are doing an incredible thing. Because this could, like, literally, your business could potentially make or break what happens to somebody one day, or a kid, a teenager, or young adult. It could definitely be the difference in the path that they go down, and I think that that's seriously commendable.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's all this talk of taboo. It's when you hide it from them and you just don't want to talk about it, they're just gonna turn around and try to, like, if they are interested in it, they're just going to do it behind your back. So if you can have that open conversation, and no one here is saying to like encourage it, but
Right.
to have an open conversation, so you can have that relationship to talk and to tell them and educate people. That's a very huge part in it, and then it creates a safe environment.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, right, is safety. Like even adults, not even just kids, like even adults. When you had to go to the back alley to get whatever you could get your hands on or whatever, again, you never know what's coming with it, So it's definitely super impactful.
One thing that I'm really passionate about is talking about packaging. There's something called a certificate of analysis. And basically with every legal purchase, if you're buying from a high quality brand, whether it's a grower or a processor who makes like vape cartridges, or even edibles, they'll normally have information on that package that will tell you how many cannabinoids are in there. If really good certificates will also list their terpenes on there, but they'll also tell you if the flower was grown with any pesticides, anything like that.
Wow.
They have to include a significant amount of information. So whether you're an adult or not, what I find really important is reading the packaging and being able to understand exactly what you're consuming. And by having that displayed, you know that what you're getting is a safe product. And when we have more of those products that are safe and we do get it off of the streets, that's when like, even if your kids get a hold of it, which they shouldn't, because at all of the shops, they should be checking IDs, which will hopefully, keep kids from getting the dangerous stuff to begin with.
Right.
But when you're seeing what's in the products that you're consuming, that's an added, peace of mind that what you're getting is what the package says. And if they're putting something in there that they shouldn't be, then it's going to be on the test analysis, hopefully. And then you can really have an idea of what exactly is going in the product you're consuming. And hopefully, like I said, when you walk into a shop, you should be having your ID checked. And hopefully those people aren't providing that to underage kids.
Right. Well, that's huge. Having that analysis, like, come with everything. Like, that's great.
It should typically be in your flower purchases. And if you are buying any vape cartridges or anything, they normally have like a little QR code on there for you to scan, and you'll be able to see all of the test results.
Interesting.
That's the issue with the black market, unfortunately, is that, we're all guilty. We all smoke. We're going to end up smoking product that we don't know where it came from. And a lot of that is failed testing from these other, legalized states like Cali and, Colorado and places like that, where these grows, they'll fail. And now this product that has, it's high in these heavy metals and these pesticides, these molds, insects, we're smoking that over here. It gets brought over here for the
Right.
low, and now we're getting good deals, from black market stuff that's failed testing. That's why the COAs are just, it's very important that in the industry that's coming up, that it's backed with these tests and these lab results, so we can educate the younger crowd and not even anybody, all people,
Right.
that it's important to know what you're putting into your body.
I would say
So-
with vape cartridges especially,
Yeah.
anytime it comes to people smoking a vape cartridge, when I was younger, I had a really bad experience. I have asthma, and I hadn't had any issues with my asthma for years, probably 10 years. And I got a vape cartridge from a friend, and I ended up in the emergency room. And now I smoke vape cartridges pretty regularly,
Right.
but I know what's in them. I know that they're coming from someone that they are putting high quality ingredients into that vape cartridge. They're not putting any oils or anything that shouldn't be in there. But when I was younger, I didn't know that.
Sure.
And I had a vape cartridge from a friend, and I ended up in the emergency room. So especially when it comes to vape cartridges, you really want to know what's in the product you're consuming.
Yeah, one thing with the vapes, right? Like, I think at the beginning of all of this, when we started learning all of that, I realized that, and I use this with a lot of my teenagers, is that if you go on Amazon right now, right, you pull it up and you put empty vape cartridges, you can buy 10 to 15 empty packages for $20. And then you can fill it with whatever you want and then sell it as if it was cannabis. And I think that's very scary. Because
yeah.
now you're getting these nicotine pens, right? And then some of them, like you said, has fentanyl in it. Same thing with the cannabis. Then not only that, but they're like, it's like a fake, right? So there was this one, what was it called that we used to get?
What, the Mario Kart?
The hard knuckles, I think.
Oh,
Brass knuckles.
The brass knuckles, right?
Yeah.
Dude.
So they were a brand from
I
California.
remember when all the fake ones came out. 'cause
Yeah.
when
There
they
were
first
so
came out,
many.
they were so expensive.
Yeah.
Nobody could get them, and I knew
Yup.
a guy who could get everything. Then it was like 2 or 3 years later, everybody had them, but they were all fakes. I
All
could tell
fake.
immediately.
Yeah.
Just by the first pull, I was like, "This
Yup.
isn't a."
And that's the
real shit.
scary part, because then you don't know what you're smoking.
Yep.
You don't know what these people are doing.
polish.
Are they solventless, right? So there's other things, like there's solventless and there's ones with solvents in it. There's different ways to extract the cannabinoids from the plant and turn it into vapes. And the thing is, if you're using things that have solvents in it and you don't purge it properly, then you're also ingesting all of those chemicals that you're not supposed to. And that's
Right.
where we also be seeing the things with popcorn lung and all of this stuff. The other thing is, like, it's a vape. It's easily accessible. So what happens? Every 5 minutes you
Yeah.
and then it's nice for the convenience, but it's like we were saying before, like, we use it with a purpose. Our purpose is to maintain our high and not to get us higher.
Right.
So like for us, like the way I use is I'll smoke a little flower, and then if I go out, I'll have my vape just to be a little bit more discreet sometimes, and then just hit it 1 or twice, and that will maintain me at a level without having me all the way down, dropping me, or without getting me way too high. Now, if I really want to do that, then I can just puff it maybe 2 more times, and it'll raise me back up. But then it's using the products with a purpose and not just using it for convenience and just using it every 5 seconds.
Right.
So that I think that also goes into what I believe when it comes to addiction. Addiction is the relationship that you have with the substance. Are you using it for escape, or are you using it for an aid? Is it adding to your life, or is it subtracting from your life?
Right.
And that relationship is what is either an addictive relationship or a relationship that is constructive for your life.
Interesting. That's a great perspective on that for sure. I agree 100%. I'm also learning that we call it flower.
Yeah, flower.
Yeah. I'm picking up. I'm picking up
So
on this
this
stuff.
this old guy I work with, he's always like, "I don't know why you guys call it flower now. We just call it bud."
It's still bud.
Yeah, so he's just,
I mean,
he's a
if
grumpy
you really
old
think
man,
about
so.
it, bud is come from budding.
Yeah.
And the budding is technically that little seed that you see it budding and it starts to go. And it is a flower. And the funny thing about it is that I thought when we first started, once it became legal, I was like, okay, I really got to get hands-on on this. I want to start figuring out how the plant works, how you can grow it different ways. And I dove into it. And the actual flower, the thing that we smoke when we crack them, the little circles, those are the actual flowers. So it's called a bud because it's like a bud of flowers. So it's like a bouquet, right? A bouquet of flowers. So
Right.
the bud itself, the actual structure, is just a bud of complete different flowers into one. And learning that for me was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Then
mind
seeing
blowing.
it.
I don't know if it's on my face right now, but I'm like, damn, okay.
And then seeing it, and
That's
then
been me this whole time. I'm
and
like,
then for us, right, for us being hands-on, we've been to multiple different states for conferences. We've been to multiple states to see what they're doing, how is it working. Coming up, we have a trip to Colombia to see what the industry is doing down there, because now they're medically legal. And, you know, it's our home country. Like, we want to
Right.
go back and see what's going on. And if we can get in there and educate from the very beginning, the stigma will be lifted even faster, and then we could even help them more. I'm just saying, right? Like, being very hopeful here.
yeah, no,
But that's the
absolutely.
goal, right?
Worldwide, man.
Other
Yeah.
opportunity, yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm blown away by you guys, for real. Like, I knew you were gonna be impressive when you were coming in, but I'm next level now. Honestly, I obviously can't even articulate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, right now being that we're working on getting a storefront and the
Mm-hmm.
license approved, that we just have Instagram right now.
Sure.
We're on social media. We're on LinkedIn. We have a website up, but right now we've just been pretty active on Instagram. We do educational posts.
Give the info on all the channels.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
The
it's,
tag. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Holistic Oasis Co, and that's CANNCO. I think we're shadow banned, so you gotta type us all out. Instagram automatically shadow bans anything cannabis related.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if as soon as you start posting things about cannabis or anything
Stop
alternative medicine
See,
based,
this is the stuff we gotta change.
Shadow ban
Also,
immediately.
also
Yeah.
That's
the website.
crazy.
The
Oh yeah,
website.
website is holistic-oasis.com.
Okay.
And you can
And-
learn there about us, like
Yeah.
a little bit about our
It's a
background.
landing page, really.
You know, we'll be updating it soon,
Mm-hmm.
especially now. Like we said, we're really focused on the application season right now. We really
Yeah.
want to get this application out and then just continue, growing with the industry the way that we've been doing from the very beginning. So like he said, you can find us at Holistic Oasis Co and Instagram, holistic-oasis.com. That's our website. And if you have any questions, info@holistic-oasis.com.
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
happy to answer any questions. But yeah, really, we're just we're in the process of branding and just getting our back end situated and getting ready to launch once we get our license.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so
Everybody keep a lookout.
Yeah, for sure. No,
They know
Jay and
we're
I are
coming.
definitely, and Jeff
Yep.
too. We're definitely gonna pop up, and he's got like 4
please
nicknames.
do.
So
Yeah,
I just,
we're definitely gonna have
I didn't know what to call you. Just,
I saw you struggle to come up with one of my names.
they all almost
Like,
came out at the
Jeff,
same
Jeff.
time. Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely be there. We'll be keeping an eye out. We wish you
you.
the best of luck. Like,
Thank you.
seriously, from the bottom of our hearts,
Appreciate
because
that.
this is.
We also do a lot of shows and stuff, so we'd love
Right.
to have you guys be
yeah,
vendors.
please.
Oh,
We've done
yeah.
events.
That
We've
would be
tabled
great.
events.
Yeah.
We have all the stuff. We should
Yeah.
just go there and just we sell merch or we education, branding, things like that. We can talk to
Yes.
people. Just, get friendly with our community.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
so-
we'll definitely be talking because that's
Yeah,
so
please.
true. We could definitely use you guys as a vendor for
Yep.
many things. That's fantastic. Well, listen, you guys have taught me a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best to pass this on to everybody else I know. I'm like, wait, did you know?
They
They're
could
gonna be
just
like,
listen to
It's a
the
lot of
episode.
yeah,
and send
no,
them the
they'll be
episode.
listening. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I
Thank
wish
you.
you the best of luck. I'm so excited to see what you guys do, and I know it's gonna be big.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
really
of course.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
course.
definitely. Thank you so much for having us. It's awesome to be on here. And we have a lot of educational material on our Instagram, so definitely go on there, go through our posts. We've written a lot over the last over a year at this point through that Instagram page. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have merch for sale too. Just like I said, trying to get the brand out there. And,
Absolutely.
Merch
we're-
page.
Support so these
Yeah,
guys
we
can,
Yeah.
we love
spot.
people wearing our stuff. It is
supporting
New
it.
York, and we're trying to have nice clothes, and not that being the focus of our company, but we want people to be able to feel comfortable repping our brand, and
Support it.
It's
it's more
gonna
than
be-
cannabis. Yeah,
yeah.
It's more than cannabis for us, like we were saying. So
Pretty soon, Holistic Oasis merch is going to be
Yeah,
like
oh,
that
yeah.
dope shit. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you. Yep, yep.
They're going to be like, yo, you got that?
the shirts,
Yeah. Literally. No, it's so dope.
hats,
I love it.
hoodies.
Yeah, Jay's actually rocking one of their hats right now too.
Holistic
Thank you
hat.
guys.
I couldn't make it work with the headphones, which is why I didn't do it. But
I was just complaining that I need a new hat. So my girl was like,
Hey, there you go.
I always got like 30, 40 in my closet.
for real. Well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having us.
Jay, you want to take us out?
Yeah, so every time we finish the podcast, we just do a piece on 3. So you guys ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Peace.